Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories behind success, uncovering the lessons learned and the insights gained by leaders and innovators in the business world. I'm your host, Sonia, and today's guest joining us is David Van Beekum. David is the co-founder and creator of Tweva, the world's first social TV network dedicated to small businesses and influencers. His journey is one of innovation, dedication, and a relentless pursuit of success. Despite his introverted nature, David has been instrumental in driving Tweva's success, proving that determination and passion can turn dreams into reality. Let's get started. Welcome, David, to the show. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
No problem. Always love to be on podcasts and talk with other entrepreneurs and businesses.
Awesome. I love it. Before we get to our discussion, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a digital marketer, entrepreneur, and inventor. I created a product called Tweva, which is the first digital social TV network for small businesses and influencers.
Awesome. So let's get right into it then. Can you share with us the moment you decided to co-found Tweva and what inspired the idea behind creating the world's first social TV network for small business influencers?
So we were actually sitting at one of the co-founders. I think it was at a restaurant, and we were looking around at the TV, and a major competitor. This was a small mom and pop shop, and a competitor came on their TV screen. Pizza Hut, Domino's, something like it was a competitor, and I just looked over. I thought, how dare they advertise their, you know, franchise kind of food to your customers that are sitting there. And we kind of joked about it, like, I know, what kind of budget do you have to compete with them? And then we kind of started talking about, well, what if we could create something for small businesses to be able to compete with those larger businesses? I mean, larger, it's more of like a franchise, a big boy out there, right? How can we have small businesses compete? So that's kind of how it started, just an idea, when we were sitting there chatting.
I love it. But that's how most great ideas are developed or invented, right?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if you can't really, you have to have that conversation, right? With other people, and you're kind of validating the idea at the same time. I might have this little, oh, I think this. Do you kind of think that too? And that really sparks, that group of minds sparks that the ideas.
Yeah, and you obviously saw the need and you're like, okay, let's see if we can get into this. So you've played a crucial role in Tweeva's success. How have you navigated the challenges of entrepreneurship and leadership as an introvert? Because I know you are. And what advice would you give to introvert founders?
Ooh, it's kind of, it's hard to get thrown into the spotlight.
Yeah.
And it would have been easier to have a step-by-step direction to get there. Um, it is very hard, as a developer, and I would call myself, a nerdy developer type of person. I like the screen. I'm comfortable there. To get in front of the camera and talk to people and be in the marketing world, or just even going out and talking with other businesses, it's hard to do that.
Mm.
And unless you're forced to, or someone tells you you're good at it. Um, it takes a lot of books. It takes a lot of positive thinking, positive reading to get to that point. But even after all of that, you still have, as a thinking person, it's like an introverts tend to think about things. Oh, I'll think about it. Once I feel okay, I'll start. Still doesn't fix it, right? You have to just jump in and start.
Yeah.
And so kind of my story would be, you set up your little phone, your iPhone, you point it at your face, and it's like 28 times I think I hit record for my little bio. Like, hi, I'm Dave Van Beekum. But you just have to start it. And it's so hard for most of us. I think you could probably relate the first time you sit in front of a camera, right?
I still do.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's just feels different.
yeah, I'm an introvert as well. Like people tell me I'm 50-50, but I'm more comfortable being an introvert. I force myself to be an extrovert. And like when I'm doing things, I'm second guessing everything. And sometimes it's like you said, it's like a basic thing, like doing an intro, and you're like doing it 20 times before you're like, I just got to get it out there.
Yep. Yes. It's just like that. Maybe there's that group of the extrovert which just says, "Hey, this is what it is.
Mm.
Let's go with it." And the other, we're trying to think about it. Is it the right perception? Is the lighting right? Um, but in the world of where we are today, I think that mattered a lot more in the 80s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
But as you started to have more people have access to cameras and then TVs, you had a little bit more of that non-professional content come out.
Yeah.
And that's what today, we call, you're an influencer. An influencer. I mean, to a production movie critic, what is an influencer, right? He's like, yeah, okay, grabs his phone, he sends some videos out there. He's probably low quality, right? To him, it's something completely different. But it is such a big part of our society now,
Yeah.
and the regular just small business industry that, I mean, look at how many people are on TikTok creating small little videos. Why does it perform better if I sit in my car and I can see a seatbelt to the right of me? But so many people do that. It's
Yeah.
like,
I think,
and then people will diss that, but it's something.
yeah, I think it's authenticity as well. People love that it's raw and it's real,
Hmm.
being yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's part of being yourself, knowing that that other person is real. What I mean, as a society, we're pretty much saying I'd rather watch this non-produced content that is a little bit more real, and I may find value in that more than someone who's scripted out
Yeah.
hours and hours, and teams of CEOs have poured over it to take out everything that may not be perfect and just give you that advertising message, right? We're looking for that genuine, what's the nugget of
Yeah.
information that I can find? And so in the end of that, I mean, this is all a long-winded answer to the how do you get started with? You just have to start. Like the tip is just start
Put
because
yourself
you'll
out there.
learn.
Yeah.
Hmm?
So one thing that I was reading in your bio that I really wanted to get into, unfortunately, you lost your co-founder. He passed away. How did this loss affect you in the direction of Tweva?
Well, we have several co-founders on the team, and so when we lost one, it was kind of, I think, as co-founders, you don't realize you in the beginning you kind of lean on each other's strengths,
Mm.
and so you kind of think, okay, well, if I'm doing my piece, then this person is doing that piece, and this other person is doing these pieces. And then when you lose one, either through a death or through somebody even leaving, because that happens a lot in startups, right? People leave. You kind of have to readjust and say, how are we going to take over what that person has been thinking or planning for several months or several years? So it's kind of a readjustment, really, for a founder to deal with. What am I gonna get in front of the camera? Are we gonna hire somebody else? Right? That's always the question. What was his future perception or plans of where Tweva would go in the next 5 years? Right? You lose a lot of information. It's like losing a hard drive full of information and connections to other people. So it really tends to be something that it's unexpected. Nobody plans for it. You don't want to plan for it. But in the end, I guess the advice tip is some days you have to think about that. Like, what would happen if this person left or this chunk of the business was missing? How would we prepare for that?
What was the effect for your team after that happened?
Well, the effect is that you lose part of the idea, part of the momentum right behind it, because then you have to figure out, okay, well, if we were going to go in this direction, can we still go in that direction? Right? Was this proposed to a certain amount of contacts in his Rolodex versus someone else's? So it hurts the business. It hurts the I would say, the drive of everyone involved, because you sit there and you're like, well, where are we going to go? How are we going to get there? And it is really detrimental. And it takes a little time to get through that, to figure out how we're going to get to that next step.
How did you guys go about that? How difficult was it?
Well, at that point, when it did happen, we kind of, well, maybe 6 months before it happened, we were looking at some venture capital, and we all agreed it wasn't exactly time yet. But after he passed away, we went right to a business startup, which was something that we really should have done in the very beginning. And one of the co-founders figured out that going to a startup school, it's almost like a startup school, would be the best bet to go figure out what we need to do to raise capital. And once you go to one of these business accelerators, you start to realize, wow, we thought we had all of our ducks in a row, but did we get this point here? You know, and let's say there's 50 different things. And startups are hard, right? Startups, I was watching a podcast, and they said it's almost like a miracle, right? Like that some things just work, and you have to build it. So it was eye-opening, least to say, to go find things that we might have been doing wrong for several months or several years. But it was something that we had to go through to figure out, okay, did you build a pitch deck correctly? Where is your customer focus? Who's your top personas that you have to figure out for your marketing? Yeah. Why are we focusing on persona number 7? Why aren't we focusing on 1, 2, and 3? Do we really have to build features and products and features in the software for personas 7, 8, and 9? Does that really matter right now? Or do we want to get this off the ground? And so through many consultants in the school, you have to kind of take a step back and say, oh my goodness, okay, how much time did you really spend building that out, right? Working overtime or at night or thinking about those features, when number one, you're just supposed to get the MVP out and running. So that's kind of, it's kind of a learning experience that you have to go through, unless you've been there. Or, you know, sometimes you see these startups, oh, this person raised $20 million or $70 million. And you think, how in the world can this person do that? Most of the time it's an experienced, one of the co-founders has experience raising capital or just growing a startup. But if you don't have that, you have to kind of start from that ground up again, which is kind of where we were at.
I love that. And you know what? It's so funny you mentioned the accelerators. It's actually not a conversation I've had on my podcast so far. So you brought up a good point. And I remember one of the startups that I founded years after it was established, I went and did an accelerator program for female tech founders. And I remember thinking the same way you just said, like, wow, I hadn't thought about this. So maybe not necessarily go through an accelerator just to raise funds, but go into it with the mindset of you might learn how to put a pitch together, how to pitch to investors, but you're also going to learn so much more. I remember they had like a whole day course on accounting and how to go on, you know, and do your accounting and how to do marketing and how to hire salespeople. I got a lot of value out of it. So do you think that that's a route that a lot of founders should go down and at least explore?
Yes, I think that would have been a lot more valuable before writing a line of code. Besides the patent, yeah, because the direction that you even start with, you have to be thinking about the investor, if that's the route, right? What do people what are they going to invest in? What features do we put up on our to-do list, right? How are we writing our Jira? How are we building our sprints? What do we want to show in 6 months, 12 months? What's your 18-month plan?
Yeah.
And that matters a lot to that investor. When I was on several calls with VCs, they're looking for that, person that knows what they're looking for. They don't want to have to teach you.
This is true.
Right? So why are we even going down the road of spending 6 months coding a project, an idea, getting a trademark, getting a patent, when we haven't done steps 1 through 10.
Mhm.
So it's not like it takes a long time. It's just you have to have those answers, because once you start building, you can, that's kind of how you're going to filter out some of the ideas that you're going to have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, does this really need to be built in version 1, 2, or 3, or is this version 4? Because if you're looking to go get that initial investment from venture capital or angel investor, you're based upon those KPI points, right? So you're saying, okay, this is what we're going to accomplish. And next time you go back, you want to have those, winning KPI points that you've told them, hey, these I've told you I've done these. This is what we've done. You don't want to say, oh, when we found this great idea over here while we were eating lunch, we started to develop that. Like he's like, yeah, no, wrong team, right?
Which,
So
which is something that a lot of people do.
yes, yes, it's a lot. I was listening to a Y Combinator, one of the guys on there, and he was saying you wouldn't believe how many startups do that. Like, hey, I got a great idea. I'll build this for everyone,
Yeah.
and it's not a product market fit. The magic is that product market fit.
Yeah.
Once you get that, then it's much easier to go to that investor and say, hey, we figured this piece out. Now we want to pour some gasoline on this idea and get it moving.
Yeah. I think what happens sometimes too, aside from what you just said, sometimes an idea is too ahead of its time. And you really need to plan it out. Just because something you're disrupting something doesn't mean it's going to stick and going to work right away. It goes through the same process, right?
Yes, that was part of initially before all of this happened. I went and tested the idea, the market, right? One of the co-founders said, hey, go out, talk to some businesses. And I did. I went out to several hundred businesses, and I had a good close rate, but it was still, you had to talk to businesses based upon their age, right? And this is where your personas come in. Is you talk to one business, and if they're a little bit more up there on the age side, you'd have to say it's a TV channel, because they're not part of browsing through social networks. So you can't say, oh, it's a social network, but for your TV. Okay. Well, he's been in business for 30 years, and his friends, I mean, he's friends with his clients, right? So everybody knows who he is. He's not necessarily looking for a social network to be part of. If he is, he's going probably to straight to Facebook.
Yeah.
So for him, it's a local TV channel for the city, right? Do you want to be part of that? Now,
Yeah.
to the young person, he doesn't know what that public access channel is, right? Like PBS. So
Yeah.
for him, it's a TV channel. It's a social TV networks first. Oh, really? Okay, let me check it out. What's the app? Let me download it. Where's your QR code? And so it's very, very different based upon who you talk to. And those are some of the things that you learn in those beginning stages.
Right. Okay. So running a startup while maintaining a healthy family life is no small feat. How do you manage to balance, and what strategies have you found most effective in ensuring both your business and your family thrive?
Well, I feel like I'm spinning plates all the time on the sticks, right? You're trying to figure out what's slowing down, and I've had a couple of broken plates here and there because it's really hard. It's hard to balance everyone, but increased communication is really a good thing. When you're talking to either your family or business partners and co-founders and clients, just communication and time frames help a lot. Like hey, this feature is not involved yet, to your clients. Hey, this feature is not live yet, but we're working on it. We tend to think this is going to be 3 to 4 months. Gives him a very good view of where we're going. And same with the family, is you have to set your priorities. What's more important? Is it the soccer game, or is it coding that extra feature that you think is going to work versus something else? And this is why I think that first step is so important, because when you have your roadmap built out and what you're going to do, it's easier to say, okay, look, I did accomplish this piece. Now I can take that break with the family. You're
Right.
not in this overwhelming, I have to build all these features. I have to build all these things to get this to work.
Hmm.
Uh,
Do you,
but taking time for everyone is very important.
yeah. Do you find that like it's either or is it a combination? So is it you're at work and family is later, or is it I'm now done work, I'm with my family, I'm not going to think about work? Or is it like a healthy combination of you don't have to turn work off or family off? You can sort of navigate through both without having them like, explode on each other.
Yes, I do the 80-20 flip is what I call it. Is it's 80% business, 20%, if I can take a conversation, or I can, go figure out what I need over here at the family, but majority of the focus has to be work during work hours. And at night it just flips. So it's if there's an email, if there's a text or some kind of issue, you can spend so much time with it, but you really have to prioritize each piece in life. I'll have my cell phone out during a game if I need to, right? And vice versa.
Yeah, I find a lot of people are like either or. You have to shut down after work and that's it. And I'm always like, I start panicking when I think about the fact that I shut down. I'm like, I can't. Like, I have to be
Yes, you can't.
available.
No,
Even when I go,
not a founder. If you're a business owner, you got to be alive. Like one of my friends and clients from years ago, his dad was a big CEO, and he said you have to be able to take the phone call during dinner, walk
yeah,
into the other room, scream your brains out, come back, just say, "Hey, okay, well, please pass the peas." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Seriously, my dad said if you can just turn it on and turn it off when it needs to be turned on and turn off, then that creates that successful, like you can interrupt a little bit of dinner, but don't say, "Oh, I'm having dinner. I can't talk about it." You got to deal with some of these situations that are right here and now.
yeah. I think people don't understand. I mean, I remember one time I went on vacation with a partner and I took my laptop. And every
Mhm.
morning before we would go off and do our thing, I would as soon as I got up, put on my turn on my iPad, my laptop, and check emails, deal with things for like 10, 15 minutes, and then I could get on
Mhm.
with my day and not think about it. And that gave me a huge sense of peace of mind. I could now
Yes.
enjoy my day, but people don't understand. They think like you're always on work mode. They don't actually understand that that's a stress relief, being able to just do that and then getting on with your day. So I love your concept of the 80-20 and vice versa. Now I
Yeah.
have an excuse.
Yeah, that always worked for me. And when I was 50-50, at after hours, my wife several times threatened, "I will take that laptop and throw it out the window. Don't come to the couch with the laptop." But there's these features that somebody could use, and then you're talking to the VCs later and you're like, "What do you do? Why are you on version 7?"
You're such a developer. I just want to point that out.
Yes. Yeah, I
I like
just
that.
figured it out. I was cleaning my hair in the shower and I was thinking about how I could have this relate to that through the pivot table of this one and that one, and I figured it. Yeah, well, guess what? It's not supposed to be now. That's so far in the future, doesn't even matter.
I
So
still I
that's
still love it.
oh.
So, you're currently focused on securing a significant investment for Tweva. Could you share some insights into your approach to fundraising and any tips for entrepreneurs looking to attract investors for their startups?
Yeah, so the tip would be get that started earlier, because we waited until we had an issue, right, on the team. And that really should have been a focus from the very beginning. If you had sat down with, I don't think you need to join a business accelerator to get this type of information. Somebody might give you, you could probably buy a half an hour or an hour with a consultant, or 4 hour block with a consultant, and really go through your business materials and say, "Hey, these are the things that I want to do. Um, what am I doing wrong? Here's my roadmap. Here's version 1. Here's where I want to raise capital." And I think they could lead you down a pretty good path.
Mm,
Just doing it from your mind, or I have a great idea, could literally lead you down 1 year the wrong way. And you still have to come back. You still have to develop that pitch deck. You still have to develop your roadmap and your version 1, your version 2. But it really helps to have somebody in that world if that's where you want to go. Like some smaller businesses, you don't need a lot of startup capital.
mhm,
Um, and so you can create that version 1, or you could go to friends and family for angel investors. But really, I think is that initial plan to get something started, and how you're going to do it really changes that direction of where you'll be in 1 or 2 years. So that would be my tip, is um, create that plan first and find someone.
Yeah. How sig what was the significance and change not having investors and now having investors? How did that change the dynamic? Forget about financials. How did it change the dynamic of the team and the business?
Well, we're still working. We still didn't, get the big investment that we were looking for. So we're still building out what I call modules. So you don't want. I've been on several meetings in let's say how to go viral on a network, how to build out your customers on certain networks. What I have built out is a puzzle piece or a module for success. And you have to do these in different pieces. So one would be your development side. Is your development team scalable? Will it work with 100,000 or a million in it, right? And then your marketing side, is that scalable? Are you posting things on Craigslist to try to get customers, or do you have something that is scalable, that where you can pour money onto it and it is replicatable? So each process that you do, you're looking to build in those KPI numbers so that you can figure out, okay, this is what $10,000 does in this spot, right? In this module. If it's 100,000, what will the number be? And can I track it? So each module that you build out in your business has to be at scale. It doesn't have to be the first day, right? You're manually going through these processes. Okay, well, I have to update this. Okay, where are we logging that information? But each one should be a module, because when you get to the point of a major investment, that's the things that you want to have tracked from the beginning, right? So this is what we did for 6 months, and this is what we got back from it. So I would build everything that you can in modules, put a lot of data into your Excel spreadsheets, or build a custom database, and keep track of what you're doing, who you're talking to, what actions are being taken, so that when that money comes in, you can figure out where it needs to go and where you can grow with it.
Okay, I like that. Engaging local businesses on the platform is key to Tweva's growth. What tactics have you employed to drive traction and interest among small business, and what challenges have you encountered in the process?
Well, I'll start with the challenge first, because I think I touched on this a little bit before.
Yeah,
When it's a new business or a new idea, it's like telling somebody 15 years ago, hey, you have to create your business on Facebook. You
right.
have to create a business page. And not everybody would understand what that is yet, because you don't have as much usage. Not everyone had fast internet on their phones. So you do have what I call an educational block of just, I don't know what that product is.
Mm,
So you have to build out a little bit of awareness about what it is and figure out how to do it. Now, in the Tweva world, it's easier for us to leverage influencers, right? So influencers, they're running around, they're talking to businesses, they're creating content for social media. But if you were sitting next to an influencer in a restaurant right now, you might not even know that they have 500,000 followers,
right.
right? Okay, so they hold their phone out, they're videotaping. That shows my age. They're recording their they're recording their food, they're talking. You're like, okay, cool, it's an influencer, but you really wouldn't know. Now, if
Yeah.
they had a Tweva TV there, you'd say, oh, look, that's who it is. Oh my goodness, they're sitting right here. I can see that they have 500,000 followers. So the interesting thing is, though, when you're first creating your product, that wasn't a big thing, right? Influencers weren't huge a few years ago. Now they are.
Mhm.
So you had your idea, and as the different markets grow, you have to figure out which one fits your product, and you can leverage those. So now we can talk to influencers and say, hey, influencer, you're already walking into this business, you're already talking to this business, how can we help you become even more popular in your town? And so we've used several pieces like that,
Mhm.
growing industries out there, to modify our marketing tactics to create more growth based upon those.
Yeah. So talking about that, your background as a digital marketing guru, and I'm saying that because I'm just copying it from your from your bio. So you're a marketing guru. How do you see the landscape evolving and the role and what role do you believe social TV networks like Tweva will play in the future of marketing for small business and influencers?
Well, when we looked at Tweva, we realized that like it's a high number. I mean, I claim to say it's 95+% of small businesses are not on television.
Yeah.
I've ran ads myself. It's $3,000 to $10,000 to be on TV, and you don't really see a lot of growth unless it's very repetitious,
Right.
because you're spreading it down on millions of TVs around in a city or in a state or in the country. So what is changing is people are watching more creator content, and they're doing this more on their phone. The only problem is their face is always like they're always looking at it, right? So if they're out in public, they're always looking down. What we wanted to do with Tweva is create a way that small businesses could gain that exposure from the TV. So I know you probably have a lawyer in your area. We have one in Orlando, and he's very popular, right? And if I ask anybody around it, like I was at a small business symposium, I asked anybody, does everybody know who he is? And I was, yes, we know who he is. Would anybody hire him? Yes, they would all hire him. But you've never shaken his hand. You've never went out to eat with him. You never, right? But it's building your idea and confidence of who he is. We call it a community expert. He's a community expert because everybody knows him in the community. So what changes with Tweva and a local-based TV channel is that you give the ability for other small businesses to become that community expert, right?
Mm,
So if you keep anywhere that you go in your community, you keep seeing wherever you, oh, that is a chiropractor. Okay, he's teaching me how to sit in my car. If I lean one way, I'll probably have back problems. If I lean the other way, I'll have back. I got to sit straight. I got to focus on, like you could give a lot of tips that you do on TikTok or Instagram,
mhm.
but you could do it more publicly with the TV network. And so this is what we're trying to change is give access to the small businesses, give access to TV through the small businesses. So they're hosting the digital network, but they're also creating content for the digital network.
Awesome. I like that. So looking back on your journey, what key piece of advice would you offer aspiring entrepreneurs who dream of launching their own startup?
Well, definitely do it. I'm an optimist in the, just go ahead and build it and do it, but find somebody a little bit educated in either the business world. If you don't have financing, you need to find somebody.
Yeah.
If you don't have the business skills, you got to find somebody. If you don't have the technology skills, you got to find somebody. That's your first key is go to a business class or a Rotary Club. Those are a little bit older, but you're going to have to go to some business setting and find somebody that you can bounce those ideas off of. And once you've built your small network, then you can get started on your project. Don't give away too much data, right? You don't want to give away your complete idea because things with patents, if you give your idea away within 1 year, you can't file a patent. So you
Oh,
so you have to be a little bit reserved. Like you can say, "Oh, I'm looking for somebody in technology."
yeah.
Right? And then if you sit down and seriously talk to that person, you have to have them sign a non-disclosure, an NDA.
Yeah.
Um, but your first step is if you don't know, you got to find some people that know because it'll leap you forward 6 months to a year instead of you going online and Googling this and I'll ask Chat GPT that. It's like, yeah, well, that's even old data,
Yeah.
right? So definitely get started, but meet up with other business-minded people. Even for me, it's hard. I mean, I consider myself a technology nerd. It's very hard to find somebody out there that is raising capital, building a startup, right, in the local area. So sometimes you need to go to the major cities and meet up with smaller groups.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's like the best advice you could have given. I talk to way too many people that are like, "Yeah, I'm a startup." Oh, great. Like, when did you start your startup? Like 7 years ago. And oh, okay, so you must be doing really well. Nope, I'm looking for funding. I've been 7 years in. Okay, how many clients do you have? Zero. So I always do the same thing. I'm like, you have to know some sort of business operations or accounting or, like, or hire an interim CEO to help you until you're ready to sort of go off on your own and maybe hire a full-time one or a founder or co-founder that has those skills. But I agree with you on, especially if you're a developer and it's your idea. Because I think, and maybe you could correct me wrong because you're a developer, I think developers are inventors.
Yeah.
And you can keep inventing for the rest of your life. And if it was up to you, you would keep building and building, and the
Yes.
product would never get launched. Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
not wrong. For all of
Yep.
those
You
who
get
have
lost in your mind. Yep.
for all of those
Every
who have
single
heard my
time.
past podcasts, I always
Yes.
say that. Yes, I love it.
every every time I joke and talk about this with other people, I imagine this little cartoon. It was in the newspaper. I think my dad cut it out for me once, and it was um, like a mom asking for the salt, and then it panned over to the kid with the computer, and he's like, "Hold on, I'm programming it." Right? Like, because we want to automate everything, and this is exactly why. Besides all of that, the first step is figure out how to scale, how to grow, where you want to go, and then you can play. But you need to play with boundaries, with a fence in there to say, okay, yeah, I spent my 2 hours doing this piece. I spent my 4 hours doing it. It's done. We don't keep reiterating over that, because in my world, they call it a development loop. You still just, oh, well, develop it. Let's sit down, talk about it, develop it. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's like high rate of failure.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of it, and I get this all the time, and I've actually come up with my own analogy. And I was talking to a potential startup the other day, and they're like, "Oh, I love that." And I was like, "Listen, you want to get to the other side, and there's a river in the middle, and all you need to do is build a bridge. Why are you building a rocket ship? Like, you're not, all you want to
Ooh,
do is cross over to the other side. They, instead of getting a nail and a hammer, they went and bought drills and, all this stuff. And by the time they're done, they have a rocket ship. And now they have to, like, take this rocket ship apart to in
yep.
order to get back to being just the bridge, right? So I use that as an analogy because I do find that a startup that's really being founded by developers, that's sort of like where their mind goes. We're like, "Ooh, we have this great idea. We want to build a bridge. But what if we add this to the bridge so that they can hold on to? And oh, what about?" And by
Yes.
the time
Oh
you're
my
done,
word. That is so perfect. That is exactly, yes, that's the mind frame. Because we just think like, oh, we'll do this. And then you diss the other people that, oh, well, why didn't they think of this? I could have created this. I'll do it better. I'll put chrome on the handles so that we never have to clean it. Okay, well, it doesn't matter if you don't have anybody walking over your bridge.
you don't need self-disinfectant and all that stuff.
Yep.
Just build some stairs or something, right?
Yeah, get somebody to cross the bridge instead of, going through the river.
I love it.
Yep.
So we're getting to the end of this episode, but I want to ask you one last question. What's your vision for the future of Tweva, and how do you see it transforming the social TV space and supporting businesses and influencers along the way?
Well, the future is having a Tweva TV in every public setting where there is a TV. We've talked to several small businesses like, I don't want a TV in here. Okay, for the less than 1% that has this, special place that they don't want the TV, that's fine. For everyone else, everybody's got either a promotion screen or a TV screen playing some sort of TV.
Yeah.
We want at least one of those to be a Tweva so that you can walk into the building and say, hey, I think my customers shop here. They're really around here. Let me add my ad here right now. I'll put $5 on it for the month and we'll let it just cycle through and maybe I can gain a couple of customers. So we really want it to be a community billboard slash TV channel slash promotions for what's happening in the town, right? So if I can look over, I'm not a big sports guy, but I tend to look at, is anything interesting to me? So if there was this podcast happening, it might catch my eye on the TV and say like, oh, what's happening? Okay, let me scan that with my QR code and I'll be a follower. Let me listen to a few episodes.
Yeah.
So it really wants to be a community, platform for anyone that's a creator, but then also for those small businesses to be able to participate in small businesses. It's non-competitive, so we're not going to be showing food to food, but if the food guy gets to show, the restaurant gets to show something in the doctor's offices, that's awesome, right? We get to connect these little businesses together, and without everybody spending $10,000 for their ads, have everyone understand, hey, that little pizza shop is here, or that little bakery shop just opened. I'd love to stop by and check that out. So we really want to be that platform where if there's a parade that goes through town and a few people take pictures, share it on the TV screen, right? It's something neat, right? Or if it just rained and the flag is up and there's flowers on the ground, somebody takes a picture, share that with the community.
Mhm.
So that's really our goal moving forward.
That's great. So can you tell our audience, as we're wrapping up, how to find you, all about you guys, what you're up to, and how to reach out?
Yeah, so you can hit us up on any of the social media platforms. We're at Tweva, Tweva. The website's tweva.com, and my email is dave@tweva.com. We'll be hosting a couple of webinars, how to grow on social media, how to become that community expert. So you can sign up at any of those at the website or through social media.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining. I had a really wonderful time. I mean, I could have talked about the whole development thing for like hours and hours.
I
I need
know,
to
me too.
have you back just to talk about that because I love it. But thank
Yes.
you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time, and I wish Tweva and you the best in the future.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me tell a little bit about the story and the great product that we've developed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in today. I want to thank David for joining us and sharing the incredible journey of Tweva, alongside the personal challenges and triumphs he has faced along the way. David's story is a testament to the power of perseverance, innovation, and the courage to step out of one's comfort zone for the greater good. To our listeners, thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, Tenacity with Sonia C, and join our community on social media at Techie Sonia C. I would love to hear from you. Leave a review and tell me what topics you'd like me to explore in future episodes. Remember, the future belongs to those who embrace change and innovation with tenacity. Keep thriving, keep innovating, and most importantly, stay tenacious in your pursuits. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more inspiring conversations in our upcoming episodes. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, remember to chase your dreams with tenacity.